bad curve. We're getting volunteers and EMS headed that way. Central Dispatch to volunteers, District 3, District 4. We've had a 2-vehicle accident with injuries. It's going to be a head-on collision, Swamp Road in the bad curve. Swamp Road in the bad curve. Jones SO and EMS are en route. Central Dispatch to MSERV units. Be advised, we've got a 2-vehicle accident, head-on collision with injuries. Swamp Road in the bad curve. Swamp Road in the bad curve. Volunteers and Jones SO are en route.
Now here's what happens when you decide to drive drunk, drive impaired, start texting, not pay attention, got the music blasting, going loud, got your friends in the car, nobody's restrained. Here's what really happens and what we have to deal with on a daily basis.
Sandersville. I got Sandersville en route. Wilson. I copy Wilson, Temple en route. I copy Jones 53 on scene. I copy. Central Dispatch to MSERV unit responded to Swamp Road. I've got Jones units on scene advising to step it up. Copy Powers Rescue on scene. Copy Powers Garage 10-8. Sandersville. I copy Sandersville on scene. Copy Jones 43 on scene. Unit with traffic and a couple. I copy. Comfortable. Unit traffic and a couple. Jones 53, your code 4. Copy Jones 53. Copy Glade on scene.
You got a portable?
Here's what your parents get to experience. family.
Don't think it's probably gonna
Rebecca! Rebecca, please! Please, Blake! Please give me my son, please! Please give me my son!
You're good.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, what you're observing right now is a very complicated and difficult extrication from a vehicle. We literally have millions of dollars worth of equipment on scene, over 24 emergency responders who are now tied up because somebody made a bad decision to either drink and drive or be impaired and drive or do distracted driving. You've got a mother down there who just is watching her child die here on scene. Now picture your parents and your brothers and sisters and your aunts and uncles in their place, just because you made a bad decision. You got prom coming up this weekend? Anybody here drive? Anybody got a driver's license? Anybody get to school today in either a school bus, a car, a truck, or a motorcycle? Well, if so, you may have done everything right. And you may do everything right this weekend because of the dumb decision by somebody else to drink and drive. That could be you on that backboard. That could be you in that helicopter. The opportunities for disaster are great. We are very fortunate in this county to have dedicated law enforcement personnel, emergency medical services, volunteer fire and rescue, emergency management, 911 dispatchers, coroner's office, district attorney's office, and we all have to come to these scenes. We train for this, we practice, and sadly we have to do this. The folks in this fire district, Fire District 4 and Fire District 3, which include Reston, Sandersville, Glade, Eminem, and Powers, we've had to put folks your age in body bags before. I've been to I've actually responded, and in my career, 25-year career, been to accidents where over 50 people have died in tragic crashes. We put some folks from Northeast Jones High School students in body bags before. Let me tell you, it ain't fun. It's tough. So don't make a bad decision, whether it be on prom night, or on a Friday night, or on a Saturday night. Don't make those bad decisions. They're going to change your life irrevocably and require a response like we have going on here today. Please don't do that. Don't do that to yourselves, your friends, especially your family. As you'll notice, the extrication is continuing. In a minute, Baptist Lifeline is going to come back in and drop off our patient. That aircraft is about $3 million. Fire trucks, $150,000 to $300,000. Ambulances, $150,000. Sheriff's Department vehicles, $40,000 to $50,000. Literally millions of dollars worth of equipment having to be deployed. People pulled off their jobs because all these folks in this turnout gear that I'm wearing, these are all volunteers. These are folks that have jobs. They don't get paid a dime. Got law enforcement tied up here when something could be going on the other side of the county where they're needed. You got MSERV tied up here because somebody made a bad decision and they could be on the other side of the county. You've got somebody here who's covered up because they're dead. No more proms, no more fun Fridays, nights. This is it. This is the end of the line. And this is what we deal with when you make a bad decision. And that's what you deal with. Lifelong injuries, families torn apart, people like us in emergency services that go to bed at night. We have nightmares about this because we have to deal with it up close and personal. 911 dispatchers who sit in a room who are disconnected from the actual event itself but have to just ask themselves, could I have done anything differently to have made a difference? Could I have gotten an emergency services unit out there a little bit faster? Would that have made a difference between somebody going home tonight and somebody not? So this is what we deal with. And this is what happens when you make bad decisions. Don't make those decisions. Don't be a statistic, another sad statistic. We are going to bring Baptist Lifeline back in, so you'll get a chance to see them a little bit later. But this is what it takes. We also today have Sheriff Alex Hodge and Major Jamie Tedford here. We'll ask them to come up in just a moment and speak. Marty Tullis, Executive Director of Jones County Emergency Management Agency, and Rodney Parker is the Deputy Director. They're in charge of all of our 911 dispatchers and emergency management. We have Mr. Darrell Springer here today, who graciously donated these 2 vehicles for us to use, Springer Auto Salvage. Thank you, Darrell, for that. Volunteer firefighters, again, unpaid. We don't get a dime to do this. We leave our families to go work and help yours. And we're glad to do it, but we don't enjoy doing this part. We're very fortunate here in Jones County, again, to have people who care, but we don't want to have to come do this. We got the Jones County Coroner's Office here, Mr. Burrell. He's the one that gets to come tell the family members that, or tell your parents that you're dead and how it happened. I promise you, that ain't fun. We've been there. We've been there on those scenes when those moms and dads come screaming, running up and trying to get to the scene, trying to get to their baby. We've heard those screams at night at 3 o'clock in the morning in our nightmares when you wake up, when people have had bones protruding out of their body, twisted in ways that they shouldn't. We get to see that, and that's what it's all about. At this time, we're going to ask Sheriff Alex Hodge. Sheriff Alex Hodge has been also with the Mississippi Highway Patrol. Now our sheriff, it's serving his second term. We're going to give him just a second. We got Lifeline coming back in, so it's fixing to get a little bit loud. So just take a peek at all of the damage here. Vehicles destroyed, lives destroyed because of a bad choice. Think about that. Just one bad choice, and this is what happened. So watch as Lifeline comes in just a second. We'll let the sheriff. And right now, the coroner's office is getting to tell Mama that her baby's never coming home again.
Oh my God. He's 18.
Sorry.
No problem.
Let's give all these folks out here a round of applause for this today. You have multiple agencies represented out here today. There's 5 volunteer fire departments here. Obviously Life Flight Ambulance, Flight, M-Serve Ambulance, the DA's office, the Emergency Management, Jones County Sheriff's Department, a number of agencies that are out here that do this. And we do it to save one life at a time. Did this make a difference? Did this get your attention today, any at all? Y'all, what do you think? These are real life situations, and I'll be real brief. You know, I'm your sheriff here. I was elected back in 2007. I'm very thankful to be able to serve you and serve alongside of people like this who are dedicated and come out and do. Every one of them here today are volunteering to be here. They're not being paid to do this, including those that were in the skits. Those people who are here because they care. And I stand before you here where I could be a lot of different places, but I stand here before you today because I care. And we care. And we know that these things here are realities. We all understand that we have choices to make in life, and I'm not going to stand here and preach to you, but you have to think about what you're doing. And all of my years in the military and the highway patrol and now as sheriff, we see these type of events play out before us far too often. And one of the, I tell this story a lot, but I feel it's appropriate to tell it in this environment because this directly affects you. It can even further relate to you this morning. One morning when I was in Gulfport, I was on the highway patrol there first before I came back to Troop J. And I was out in the interstate out near Diamond Head, out between Hancock County and the Louisiana state line. And a call came out for an accident on one of the county roads, which was just not 200 yards from where I was at. And so I was there, I mean, within seconds. And when I rolled up on the scene, I found an event much similar to this. It was 2 vehicles had hit head-on in the road. And as I made my approach to the first vehicle, I saw a female, blonde-headed female in the car. She was screaming. I mean, she was panicked, and she was trapped in the car. And the dashboard and everything was down on top of her. She was actually unrestrained. And so when they hit, it actually knocked her over into the middle of the car. And she was middle ways between the driver's seat and the passenger seat, and the dash and all was caved in on her from her waist down. And as soon as I assessed her, I immediately, I heard screams from behind me. And the male subject who was in the other car had exited that vehicle. And he was screaming and screaming and just frantic. And so I already had the medical folks coming. Again, we're way out in the middle of the county, and as I start assessing his situation, he's okay. I go back to her and I start trying to calm her down, and I talked to her. I crawled through the passenger window to where I could get in there to her, and I grabbed her by the hand. And I just tried to talk to her, and I asked her what her name was, and her name's Summer Smith. And I grabbed her hand and I held on to her hand, and the emergency services workers were coming, and this kid over here is he's just panicking. And as I began to talk to her, I've come to learn that the male subject that had hit her head on was her classmate. She was headed to Hancock High School, and he was headed to the convenience store just behind where the accident happened. And he come around the curve on the wrong side of the road, and he hit his classmate, and both of them were seniors at Hancock High School. And as this guy is panically trying to figure out what do I do now, and by the way, you can't turn the clock back. Whatever happens, happens. You can't roll it back. You can't take it back. It's done. I turn my attention again back to Summer, and I'm holding her hand. I'm trying to calm her down, and she begins to start getting weaker and weaker, and I notice her colors losing her, and I pretty much know what's going on, and the medics are trying to get there as fast as they can. And that girl looked me dead in my eyeballs, and she said, "I'm going to die." I knew that she was going to die. Because of what was happening in her situation. As I held her hand, this hand right here, she drew her last breath. And people can say that it's an accident, but every accident has a cause. And so I hope that you leave here today knowing that even though there's forgiveness and even though that you can still move on in your life if you survive. Can you imagine being that young man having to live his life knowing that he took someone else's life? Knowing that every 5 years or 10 years at those anniversaries of their graduation, that'll be planted in his mind, because her cross is right there on Minge Avenue just south of I-10 right now. Still there. That's the memory he'll live with for the rest of his life. So I hope that you take something positive from this experience. I hope you took it serious. Some of you will, some of you won't, but the ones that do, I appreciate it. For the ones that don't, we'll see you, I'm sure. Whether it be on the side of the road with you screaming, crying, trying to change things because you were distracted or not paying attention when you were driving, or driving too fast, or driving on the wrong side of the road. We're here to protect you. We're here to serve you. And that's why this event took place today. Let's give all these folks another round of applause.
Sheriff, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. I'd like to call all our victims up. If y'all would come up, please. I'd like to give them a special round of applause. They did a great job today. Although they walked away from it. And the mother. Here's the mother here. Folks, I said it right in those stands a few years back, a little bit longer than I'd like to admit. And, you know, had some of the same thoughts. Man, what are these folks doing? You know, it's not that serious. Until we went to that first wreck and I lost a classmate. You know, don't let it be you. Don't let it be your classmates. Don't let it be your friends. Have fun, yes, absolutely. We had a great time at prom, but we were safe. We didn't do the crazy stuff. We didn't get out there and drive drunk, drive impaired, texting. Of course, we didn't have cell phones. I'm going to tell you how old we are. But you know, stay away from that stuff, because here's what happens. Right here, this is real. This is what happens. All of these firefighters and most of these deputies and MSERV, last Sunday night we were out on a wreck right here in 84 East. Poor lady went barrel rolling down the highway and we had to cut her out. She was very critically injured. We do it because we love what we do. We enjoy it from the standpoint of we're helping our community. But let me tell you, we don't like having to cut you out of a vehicle, put you in a body bag, or put you on a backboard and get you to the hospital hoping that you're going to survive. We don't enjoy that part. None of these folks in emergency services. But we do it. And we're here. Don't make those bad choices. Again, we'd like to thank all of our emergency services agencies. Like I said, a lot of folks here volunteer today. Of course, we pull law enforcement off of their normal duties. We pulled MSERV off their normal duties. Baptist Lifeline, Coroner's Office, Jones County Emergency Management, Emergency Operations Center, with our dispatchers. If you don't ever have to call 911, consider yourself lucky. But if you do, that's the face that you never see. The person has to try to make sense out of all the chaos that's going on and trying to get the information. And we will do this pitch. If you saw something that you actually thought you might want to do someday, as far as volunteer fire, EMS, law enforcement, coroner's office, hey, you might want to be a flight medic, might want to be an MSERV medic. We'd love to talk to you about that after this event. We're going to have the helicopter on the ground. If you want to go take a peek at Baptist Lifeline. I think I said that bird cost about $3 million. I think it may be a little bit more than that. It's expensive. Everything we do is expensive. And we can't say thanks enough today to Mr. Pope. This is the second year that we've had the opportunity to come out here and visit with you. We don't want to see you here. We'd much rather see you at Walker's Dairy Bar. having some ice cream with us after the event. Let's don't do this. Let's don't do this part. If we've got any of the emergency services agencies personnel that would like to speak, anybody from Life Flight, MSER, Coroner's Office, we do have Miss Linda Cranford here today with the Jones County Fire Council. She's a volunteer public information officer. Does a great job for all the fire service. Thank you. Thank you for paying attention today. Thank you for being aware. Again, don't be in these cars Saturday night, okay? We don't want to find you in these. Or as the sheriff said, we don't want to be holding your hand when you pass from this world to the next. So, be ready. Mr. Pope, thank you. We'll let you take back over here. Thank you also for our 911 caller. Great job.
Okay. Where's Miss Andre? She
Right here.
can come take the mic. We're gonna do some business about prom for tomorrow. Once Miss Davis is done, if you want to come down,